to myself, show up and make a difference, living in a state of flow. I get stuff done and I have fun. It's my time and I'm the one. I'm strong, I keep growing, I take life on and I keep going. So wake up and say, why not me? Believe in possibility and stay open to the magic every day.
Welcome to the Business Renovator.
Profit is rarely missing. It's usually misdiagnosed. Today, we're going to jump into that with maybe 2 feet and an arm. That'll make more sense once you get to understand what my guest is going to share with you. Thank you for being here. If you're here live, we welcome you. Your input, your questions, your thoughts, share them with us. We'll do our best to answer them. If you're watching us, later on, hashtag replay, let us know where you're watching in from. Same thing that we'd like to hear your feedback, your comments, your ideas as well. All of you, if you could help get the message out to other people by a couple of actions. One, I've already mentioned, comment. The other is to share it and subscribe to the Business Renovator on the YouTube channel. If you did that, we would greatly appreciate that. And look at that, I started the show. We're going to show that website later, but right now I'm going to get rid of it because it's a premature, snuck in there. It's snuck in there. Here it is. We're going to remove it. There we go. So today, you're going to be intrigued for sure from the conversation we're going to have today. Some business conversations are about tactics. What you're going to find today, it's a little bit of a twist. This one is about the 3 R's: resilience, reinvention, and the real profit clarity. Today, I'm joined by John Konzen, and John spent over 4 decades in the HVAC, building automation, complex systems, troubleshooting. And after losing his left arm to cancer in early 25, he did not step away. He actually rebuilt. Today, he helps business owners uncover hidden profit, improve conversions, cut costs, and regain financial confidence using practical, proven strategies. Somehow, money shows up where it was certain not to exist, which should be impossible, right? And yet, here we are. Without any more blunders, here we bring up my guest, John Konzen. John, welcome to the show.
Hi, Phil. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I'm going to ask a question. What's the best thing that's happened to you, for you, or something you've done for somebody in the last day or two?
So I just became an ambassador of an local alliance for Alignable in our local community, helping out the original ambassador. So that was kind of exciting. I spent a lot of time the last couple of days connecting with people in our community and inviting them, into the alliance and then into to our meeting that we had yesterday.
Cool. And for those that are maybe not familiar with what Alignable is, maybe give them a little plug.
So Alignable is like a mini LinkedIn. LinkedIn has probably 890 million people registered for it, and it's worldwide. Alignable has about 16 million people, and they're located just in the United States or Canada, unless they have a connection to the U.S. or Canada from somewhere else. And it's basically a networking site that teaches you how to get referral partners and clients through those partners, and how to build that know, like, and trust scenario for building confidence in in people.
Yeah, I'm actually a member as well. I didn't know you were an ambassador until today. That's pretty cool. I've met some local ambassadors, and I appreciate the efforts and work that they do. It's really good. It's really good. So you were in HVAC for a whole bunch of years. How did you get started there?
So I basically, when I was in my teens, and I had graduated high school, I started working at a machine shop. Just, it was like a homemade die machine shop that would anneal and shrink wire size, right, and make wires for like pacemakers and stuff like that. Well, my dad's like, look, this is all fine and good, but you got to do something, more longer lasting. So here's a book, and he handed me this book of trades. And so I went into book, and air conditioning was one of the first ones, and I just picked it. And I happen, to be mechanically inclined and kind of have that analytical mind. So it actually, without knowing it, it fit perfectly into my life. And so I went to a 9-month trade school. I had 6 teachers in that 9 months. The school was an awful mess. But I graduated, and I got a job placement, and I started my career in my I think I was, I want to say 19. And so I was in it right up until this past year.
Were you in it, like, as we say in that world, were you on the tools?
Yes, I started out as a technician, worked my way up into a journeyman position, then through some strategic moves in my later years, I became a field service supervisor, still out in the field, and then eventually a manager, still out in the field, because I loved the field. I love being out there and helping other technicians. I loved the work. I loved the troubleshooting. Loved everything about it. In my later years, probably starting around 40, I started realizing that this is a pretty heavy trade, and it doesn't do wonders for your body. So I started looking at building automation as like a next step, right? Because it's more computer based and brain power based than it is physical, right? Except for maybe installing panels and wiring and things like that. But still nothing like dragging half your truck up on a roof in the 115 degree weather to change out a compressor, right?
So I was just going to ask you, do you think trades would be a good place for the young people to consider going as a viable option over, colleges, et cetera? I mean,
Absolutely. Trades. The problem with today, we're suffering a serious lack of talent coming into the trades. So there's guys like me, my age, that are getting ready to retire, and there's really, not enough people coming in. And, like shop that used to be taught in high schools and stuff, they don't have that anymore. Trade schools are kind of, not looked favorably upon. Everybody thinks that college is the way to go, but honestly, with the advent of AI now, I don't know that colleges are necessarily a great avenue to take, right? Trades are always going to be necessary, no matter how much AI takes over. The trades are always going to be essential. right? And HVAC's a great one. It covers a lot of different specialties, let's say, talents, but electrical, plumbing, roofing, carpentry, whatever. They're all great ways to make money. And I made very good money in my career.
Yeah.
I worked my way up to six-figure jobs as a technician. So
yeah, and you don't have a student loan to pay back.
no student loan.
I bring that up because I'm a bit of an advocate for the trades.
Yeah.
My background is I started in the printing trade and ended up becoming an entrepreneur from that point of view. And then the last bunch of years, probably 14, 15 years, I've actually worked in the HVAC space as well. Not on the tools, but I do coaching, sales training, and leadership development within the trades. And I've had HVAC clients. And the reason I want to give them a plug is it's a really interesting career. I never knew how technical it was until I started. I'm still blown away with what's available for us in North America to keep our climate safe and healthy, cool, heat and warm in the cold, right?
Yeah, it's crazy now. I mean, when I started in the trade, it was, mostly pneumatic controls, right? Where you had an air compressor and air lines going to all these pneumatic thermostats type of thing, for commercial entities. The old T87F thermostat, right? Everybody knows that one. It's a gold standard of thermostats back in the 70s and 80s. Those were prevalent everywhere. Units were mostly electromechanical relays and contactors and tons of wires and things like that. Nowadays, everything's DDC, circuit boards, and it's just crazy that how the technology has advanced, particularly in the last 15 years, I'd say. It's just crazy.
It is.
That's what wanted me to get. That's kind of why I wanted to get into the building automation side of it, because, that's more software based and the hardware is like field controllers, inputs, outputs, analog, digital, things like that. Very, very simple to learn, but then you really had to get a grasp on the software side of it, right, and the troubleshooting side of it. Same with units nowadays.
What I'd like to do is dive into the non-technical side of your life.
Sure.
And there's a bunch of lessons in all of that you've described. We might, if we go too deep with that, we might get the deer in the headlight look on some people that might be listening here, because they just know their home and their offices are happily comfortable, and that's all they care about. So what they might resonate with more is through all of that journey that you've, we just scratched the surface of your journey. And we did talk about your life has changed in a variety of different ways. And how has that played a role in your life? And I talked about the 3 R's, right? One of them is about resiliency. Tell us about that, because that's my number one, that was my number one challenge in 2025 was, so I had tumors in my left arm, and, I had my first one was when I was 19, and then I developed new ones in about 2018 in my 50s. And that eventually grew into something that was inoperable. And so I was told in July of 2024 that my arm would have to be amputated above elbow, so mid-humerus. And I was shocked. I mean, I went in telling the doctor that he had to, fix my arm and make it work again, because I still gotta work, I still gotta live, blah blah blah. And he said, nope, that's it. It's gotta be amputated. And so I had from
July of 2024 until March of 2025 to think about it. And literally all day, every day was a mental mind mess, really, because it's like everything I did, I thought, well, I'm going to need two hands for this. I'm going to need two arms for that. I'm not, literally everything I did all day long for 8 months, and I thought this is going to be impossible. And there's no way to really prepare for it, And so I had worked up in my mind that this was going to be just a god awful situation when it actually happened, and it wasn't. Right, using my troubleshooting, my lifelong troubleshooting skills, and really desire to live, I overcame a lot of it. And I found that, most things that I was worried about, I really didn't have to worry about. So that's really the takeaway here is like, you can think all you want up in your head. Just because you're thinking it doesn't mean it's true. And, so that was my resiliency lesson was, look, I still got to live, right? I have a 5-acre property here. I take care of the lawn. I take care of the trees. I take care of all the, things that go on with the house and the property. And I still got to do that, right? I'm not giving it to somebody else to do. So I really had to figure out how to live. And probably my biggest problem today is buttering my bagel.
If that's your biggest problem, that's
my biggest problem.
That's not a big deal. I put this up there because what you're talking about resonated with me. And this is one of my, I'll call it canned banners I have. I don't show them all the time, but this really fits. Today is the tomorrow that you were so worried about yesterday. And you're living that. The worst thing right now that you got to deal with is how to butter your bagel. Anyway, and out of adversity, with your mindset and people with a mindset like you, opportunity shows up. I think that's what that's the way I like to live my life as best I can. Would you disagree or agree?
So what I had to do is not only learn how to live with one arm, right? And there are situations that are more difficult, like, lifting heavy things and, sure, I run into problems every once in a while, bulky things, whatever. But not only did I have to learn how to live with one arm and how to find tools that would help with that, I also had to figure out what I was going to do, because literally a week after I lost my arm, I lost a new job that I had gotten as a building automation systems integrator. So I had only been there about 6 weeks, but when they found out I lost my arm as opposed to just getting it operated on, they let me go. So now what am I going to do? Right. I'm not young enough to retire and call it quits. So I got to figure out something else. So I started looking at a number of different things and leveraging the 40 years I have in HVAC. I decided I was going to try to help businesses, particularly small businesses, and even more particularly contractors, learn how, or teach them how to build more profit and build better businesses. Because the sad fact is that half of all small businesses are going to fail. I heard you talking to Courtney Lodge the other day, and he actually gave you specific percentages, or numbers. I'm telling you that 1 out of every 2 businesses are going to fail within the first 5 years. And that is tragic to me, because those businesses are somebody's dream. And I want to help them not fail, right? Not only not fail, but actually thrive and become, the dream business that they desired, right? That made them do that in the first place. Some people do it when they're really young, and some people do it when they're older. I'm doing it now when I'm older. I actually had a HVAC company that I started in California before COVID, and with the advent of COVID, I left California. Now I'm in Tennessee, and went back to work full time. So now I'm back at it, trying to build a new business. And so I get it. I get, I get why they fail, and I now know and have resources to help them succeed. So that's what I'm trying to do, and that's what I learned from this whole amputation. Is like I'm not done yet.
I love that. It's the life's journey. I was at a workshop in Seattle a bunch of years ago, and I was there on purpose. It was a mentor of mine. He's no longer with us anyway. He was doing a Lou Live event, so I went there to see what he was all about. I already knew him, but I've been studying him for 20 years. I'd never met him, so here's an opportunity to meet him. And one of the people in the room was the wife of a I think he must have been a pilot, because he ended up when he was deployed, he got shot down, and he parachuted and got caught up, and the enemy took him away. And what they were sharing was the resilience of the mind is such a powerful thing. He came back alive and from that awful experience, but what kept him alive was his family, his purpose, his major definite purpose. When other soldiers they got mental abuse, they folded up and died without any bullets or knives or execution. They just quit.
Yeah.
Right. So really, the power of what we do between, I remember, inches we got 6 to 8 inches. Even I was at another event where Brian Tracy said the same thing. He says, really, the difference between success, major success, and mediocre life is what are we thinking in here first?
Yeah.
What I like about you being on the show is you're not a Brian Tracy. You're not a notable author who's been teaching this stuff for years. You're a real guy. Not both. When I say you're a real guy, it sounds like I'm saying those guys are not real. It's not what I mean. You're average Joe, average John, who was thrown a major curveball. And what I love what you just said a few minutes ago is the biggest challenge you have is buttering your bagel. So with that all comes down to attitude, I think. So yes. I'm publicly giving you a high five.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. The mind, in my earlier years, my mind, caused a lot of damage, the way I thought. And today, I do the opposite. Like I believe, if you notice, there's Napoleon Hill right here in the background. That guy, 100 years ago wrote a book about Think and Grow Rich, and it's true. It's all in the mind, and you can actually train your mind to believe. This is the thing about America is, a lot of people are condemning capitalism, but the fact is that you can do or be whatever you want to be. And, if you want to just lay down and die, guess what? It'll happen. Right. If you want to think and grow rich, that can happen too, but you got to set your mind to it. And that's, that's the thing. It's like, I can't let this get me down. Yeah. Right. I can't do it. That's not me. It's never really, for many years, it was me. I was the guy that, just thought the worst of everything and, just barely getting by and whatever. growing mounds of debt and interest payments and, all that. And then, something clicked and I turned that all around. I actually got sober, and, 23 years later, here I am, able to overcome some major life obstacles just because I refuse to give up.
Yeah, I hear you. I haven't lost an arm or a limb, so I can't have real empathy. I do have empathy, but not from the point of view, right? You know what I mean, right? So that's pretty freaking amazing that you didn't. What I'm pausing for is there was a lesson I learned back in the 70s, and he said, the teacher at the mentor, actually he was somebody who mentored Bob Proctor way back when, Canadian guy, Val Vanderwell, and he said something that was very impressive. Actually, he demonstrated. He goes, "That's one way change happens. The doctor, your arm's going to be amputated. That's this. The other way, what we can help people is with constant spaced repetitions, small incremental improvements in a variety of different ways at the same time provides massive change on our health, physical health."
But the thing with that is you don't always see it right away. So
you
got to
we have
be consistent about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I like about what you did, though, is he said that people will hunker down and hope like heck this is going to pass. We had something, in the 2020 that kind of, some people thought that would happen. It would just pass. We did get through it, but others said, what can I do to make life better for myself and others? And they did. So it comes back to choices. What I like about what you're doing, with one good arm and a brilliant mind and a big heart, are willing and able to learn what you need to learn, share what you've learned along the way with the people that are open to being coached. That'd be great.
Yes.
That was what would treat
I basically went from a blue collar worker to a coach, and out of necessity, really, because nobody's going to hire me to do HVAC work, right? It's just not going to happen. I'm a safety risk according to them, even though I've been in the trade for 40 years. So I'm, whatever, that is what it is. I'm not going to let that get me down. I still have to provide for my wife and my family and for my retirement, and not going to let it happen.
No. Another quote I like from the wife of the same, one of the mentors, Lou Tice. She had to overcome cancer. At age 50, she went in for a full-on physical because she figured she had another 50 years to live. Wanted to make sure that was true, and then he found out that she had cancer. I don't know exactly what it was, but it was a type of invasive cancer that they, at that time, thought that there wasn't a big chance that she'd survive. And the way they handled that was totally inappropriate and the wrong. Anyway, she did survive it. She actually survived her husband another 6 years later, and she lived to 82, I believe. And when she got on the other side of it, she said to Lou, Diane Tice said to Lou, her husband, these kind of things give you longer legs for bigger stride, right? So it's a choice thing. You can hunker down and blame the world for how awful it is, be a victim, or you could be like you, go, shit, this sucks, but next.
I have two very good friends right now that are going through it with cancer in California, and I mean, the prognoses aren't good, but they have not given up at all. And it's all about mindset, and that's one of the things I'm going to be doing is a course on mindset transformation for small businesses, particularly contractors, right? The guys that quit their job, buy a truck, go out and start their own business,
Mm-hmm.
get their contractor's license, right? But the problem is they're the specialist. They're the guy out in the field all the time. How can they possibly grow a thriving business? This is why a lot of businesses fail and people end up going back to work for somebody. How do they get out of the field and into being a business owner and hiring people, the talent, right? Which again is still a problem in our industry and in all the industries is finding the talent, right? I see all the time, like, there's no jobs available, blah, blah, blah. There's plenty of jobs available. The problem is you got to get trained to be able to do that. And a lot of, especially in contractor work, they won't just hire you off the street most of the time. You have to actually go to school and learn it. So that's where trade schools are, like you said, they're essential, really. And if we're gonna continue in this vein, it's going to be really hard. I've had problems for 10 or 15 years finding talent as a manager, trying to find new people to start working for me, and in HVAC and building automation. I was getting people, I was getting resumes of like bartenders that wanted to suddenly become an HVAC technician, right? Okay, that's fine, but did you go to school yet? Well, no. So, trade schools are essential to us maintaining the flow of trades in this day and age, right? You go to college, that's great. You may or may not get a job. You may or may not keep that job. AI is just taking over, the corporate realm. And so it's, not just in digital marketing or website design, but now literally everything. Writing reports, doing, all the different things that, managers or employees do at a corporate office. A lot of it can be done by AI now. So that's not a good bet that I would want to hedge.
You have a wealth of knowledge to share, and unfortunately, the clock doesn't slow down to let us talk.
Yes.
So before we wrap this up today, I wanted to share a couple of things where people could get hold of you if they're compelled to. So I'm going to bring that up here. Bear with me. There's that. And then we want to make sure that people can read that, because I don't care how good your eyes are. That's really hard to read, but we'll make that a little easier. So this is your LinkedIn profile. Like you said, the QR code there, if they click on that, it'll take them to a place where they can learn more about you. And also LinkedIn, they can connect with you on LinkedIn and message you there.
Yes.
But wait, as that commercial guy said, there's more. And this was prematurely on at the beginning of the show, but this is where we're trying to drive you here, is learn how the most profitable business owners in the world use counterintuitive thinking to earn more money while working less. And you're a guy that could help them with that, right? Anything you want to say about your LinkedIn page or your website at the moment?
Well, so like you said, that QR code takes anybody to my digital business card, and that has all my contact and various things that I do on it. My main thing right now is the profit acceleration software that we both are part of. That's a very powerful tool for meeting out issues, business areas that a lot of business owners don't have time to look at, and there's small incremental changes within those areas can create a compounding effect in added profit and revenue.
Right.
So that's my main thing right now, and that's what that website Konzen Enterprises is about. But like I said, I'm actually working on it right now, a 8-week program to try to change that mindset of people from new contractors, from the specialist to the business owner.
Right.
And that'll help them grow their business too. My single goal is to help businesses survive. No matter the size, survive and thrive.
Yeah. Okay.
Both.
Not just survive.
Not just survive, but thrive. Yeah, because those statistics are awful.
Yeah, it has a major impact on in the global economy and mental health. Hey, it's that time that I have to wrap it up.
All right. Well, it was great talking to you, Phil.
I appreciate you being here and sharing a little bit of your journey. Like, we only have a few minutes. We're just scratching the surface. But if this resonates with you, ladies and gentlemen, please reach out. You know how to do it. John, I'll see you shortly.
All right.
What would you do if life threw you a curveball like that? I hope that you have a way to deal with adversity similar to that, or in everybody's own journey and everybody's story. It's their story, it's their impact. I think the common thread, though, that John and I both agree on is that it's really how you think about it and what you choose to do about it. There's a quote, I don't normally do these at the end, but it resonates with me today, and I want to see if I can bring it up here real quick. Written a long time ago. It is this: it's our get up to itiveness and our stick to itiveness. Orson Swett Martin, he was the original author, publisher, creator of a magazine called Success Magazine. Anyway, I'll share that with you there for now. The last thing I wanted to remind you all is this: the you in here represents you. You're unique, as I am. So go out, be your wonderful, unique self. And until next time, I'm Coach Phil, the host and creator of this, the Business Renovator.
That's it for another The Business Renovator.
Keep your word to yourself, show up and make a difference, living in flow. Get stuff done, have fun, it's your time, you're the one, stay strong. Keep growing, take life on, and keep going, making an impact like it's play. Tomorrow morning, wake up and say it again. Why not me? Believe in possibility.
And open to the magic.